Good morning to lesson 54, the calendar and rounding to the nearest thousand. There are a few things that you need to understand with the calendar. The first thing is that a common year is 365 days. We also have every four years, we have a special event called a leap year. Our sun rotates around, our earth rotates around the sun 365 and 1/4 day it takes. And so every 4 years we make up for that quarter day that was had in the earth's rotation around the sun, and we add 1 day on. And that leap year becomes 366 days. And it will fall in February, where we have 28 days generally. On leap year, we tack on another day in February. So February 29th. Sad thing, kids that are born on February 29th typically only enjoy their birthday on that exact day every 4 years. Just what happens. The other thing that you need to know is what this means when you hear the word decade. At this point, I think most of my math students are between 8 and 9 years old. So you really are approaching the time where you will be 1 decade old. So that's what you need to think about. 1 decade old is when you will be 10 years. Just a little side note, when you hear dec, it means 10. And so you'll hear decimeters down the road. There'll be other things that have that dec in it. But for now, when you hear the word decade, I want you to remember that it means 10 years. And right now we are living in our decade is the 20s of 2020. So everything from 20 to 29 is going to be the decade of the 20s in the millennium of 2000. Finally, this should clue you on when you hear this word, century. Cent means 100, and when you have century, it also means 100 years. Saxon loves to throw this in. It'll say, how many years is 5 centuries? Or how many years is 6 decades? And that's when you need to pull up this information in your brain. Finally, we need to talk about calendars and adding and subtracting and all that stuff. Our first problem is actually a date problem. And it says the Pilgrims sailed to America and landed in Cape Cod in 1620, which we know. The colonies adopted the Declaration of Independence in 1776. They want to know the number of years between these two events. And so we have to think about 1620 was when they came, and between 1620 and 1776, we want to know the difference. And that is, we take the later and the earlier, and it gives us our number. What you have to think about is subtracting the larger number, taking the larger number and subtracting the smaller number from this. And so let's do this quick math problem. 6 minus 0 is 6. 7 minus 2 is 5. 7 minus 6 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. So there were 156 years from the time the Pilgrims came to the colonies, came to the New World, until we declared independence from Britain. Pretty amazing. Our final piece is to talk about rounding. We've rounded to our nearest 10th, or 10. We've rounded to our nearest 100, and today we're going to practice rounding to our nearest 1,000. The trick is this. when we're rounding to our nearest thousand, we look at our place, what's in our place value here. This is our 7,000, and we look next door to the digit next to it, which is in the hundreds. And we say, if this is 5 and greater, then we round up. If it's less than 5, we round down. So we look at this, we have an 8 next to our 7. We know we definitely need to go up. So we change this, we change our first digit to 8,000. And we round that up. And here's another example. We have 34,186. They want us to round to the nearest thousand, and that's where we have our 10,000, and that's where we have 1,000, and we need to look. It didn't say 10,000, it said to the nearest thousand. So don't be messed up on that, okay? When they say 1,000, we go to the place value for the 1,000 mark, we look at it, and then we go next door. And as we go next door, we're looking at our 1, and we say to ourselves, 1, definitely less than 5. So we keep this the same. We say 3, and then we keep our 4, and we change these 2 zeros because that's the closest in thousands, 34,000 if we were to look on a number line. Now, this is our final workout. 5,486. They want you to round it to the nearest thousand. So we look at our 1,000 mark, we go next door, we say, oh, 4, lower. We round to, we keep our 4, and we put zeros. Then they want us to go to the nearest 100. So we look here again. This is our 100. 4. We look next door. Our 10 is an 8. We round up. So 5,500 would be rounding it to the nearest 100. Now they want us to round to the nearest 10. So I'm going to erase, and I'm going to look at my 10. It's an 8. I look next door at my 1. It's a 6. Definitely we know this is going up, and so I know that because this is up, my 10 is going to change from an 8 to a 9. So I say 5, 4, 9, 0. So 5,490 is if we rounded it to the nearest 10. You will find that you use this a lot in math. You'll use it a lot in daily life. There are times when you don't want to mess with all these numbers. You just want an idea of how much everything is. And you'll find that rounding is very helpful to kind of clear out some of these details, and it makes it much simpler for you to add and to get a good idea of what you're doing. Okay, I will see you on the practice set. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope that you remember these things, and I will see you in a minute.